Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is it's deceptively simple. We're diving deep into the sources that detail how we communicate the most fundamental
Our
things.
home, our family.
Exactly. And on the surface, this all looks like, basic conversation. But what we're really looking at is the grammar of instant connection.
It's a shortcut.
It's the ultimate shortcut to being well informed about a new acquaintance. Okay, let's unpack this. What we have here is a really meticulously structured approach to describing yourself. It's almost like a strategic tour.
A tour of the self, yeah.
It starts with the concrete, the building you live in,
Uh-huh.
then moves into the emotional core, the
Relations.
relationships that define you, and then it finally lands on the practical stuff, the routines that, govern your day-to-day life.
And that structure is what's so fascinating. Because if you look at the strategy here, it moves from the impersonal to the deeply personal, but in a very controlled way. And this is critical for you, the learner, because the framework itself calls this skill essential for small talk. These are the anchor points.
Uh-huh.
When you share these specific details, you are making yourself relatable, just instantly. You're turning an abstract idea of me into something someone else can actually see in their head.
That's the key word, transformation. So, okay, let's start with the hard data, the architecture of home.
The blueprints.
The blueprint, yeah. The structure has us begin with the simple facts. The source just grounds us immediately. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment.
And that initial detail is so strategic. It sets the financial and spatial scope right away. Yeah. Are you defining yourself by luxury or by something more like efficiency?
Right, a 2-bedroom apartment, it just establishes context. It might imply density, sharing, maybe a budget.
Exactly. It signals an expectation. The listener starts building a really precise mental picture from that one sentence.
And that's what's so powerful. It manages expectations. But as soon as those concrete facts are set, the real art begins. It shifts instantly to the feeling of the space. And this is where simple language does some really heavy lifting. The sources give us this classic contrast to show the duality of the space.
So we go from the large-scale view down to the experiential. We're told the living room is very spacious and bright.
Okay, so that suggests openness, maybe entertaining.
Yeah.
It's the public face of the home. It's about volume and light.
But then you get the contrast.
The contrast, right, with the description of the kitchen. We have a cozy kitchen where we eat dinner. You immediately see what the speaker actually values.
Yes.
You've defined the physical size, but the adjectives are defining the emotional landscape.
And what's fascinating here is that the language is prioritizing emotion over, measurement.
Right.
Spacious gives you physical room, sure, but cozy, that's purely about intimacy. It's warmth.
It tells you the kitchen is the safe haven.
It's the emotional anchor of the home, regardless of the apartment's actual square footage. And that choice, it conveys a whole value system. That connection is maybe more important than a big, entertaining space.
But to challenge that a little bit, when you're just making small talk, is there a danger in using a word like cozy? Does it make things too intimate, too fast?
That's a good question. I'd say not if it's anchored to a physical object like a kitchen.
Oh, because it's attached to the function.
Exactly. It's where we eat dinner. It stays grounded. It's really just a very efficient way of saying, this is where I feel most at home, without needing some long explanation. It's that descriptive shortcut.
And to sort of flesh out that mental blueprint, the text also provides a list of specific vocabulary.
Tangible items.
Yeah, things the listener can grab onto. Balcony, bathroom, furniture, sofa, rug. It stops being a general space and becomes a specific lived-in scene. You could almost feel the rug or see the view from the balcony.
And it helps with memory. When you're hearing a personal description, those concrete nouns, the sofa, the rug, they act as mnemonic devices. They help turn the abstract idea of a home into a 3-dimensional place you can actually recall later.
So it's a strategic use of detail.
To build instant rapport and, well, stickiness.
Okay, so the stage is set, the furniture's placed, now let's bring in the cast. We're transitioning from the architecture to the heart of the home, the people. The source establishes the family structure first. I have a big family, 2 brothers and 1 sister, which, the text points out, can just be summarized as siblings.
A simple head count.
A simple head count, but it's a key structural component because right after that, we jump straight into the personality descriptors, and this is where the narrative really takes shape.
We move past just the roles and we establish the dynamic. The framework immediately defines the parents using these 2 very distinct contrasting adjectives.
So mom is very kind.
And dad is strict.
And that's it. That's a complete picture instantly. It just
Right.
bypasses weeks of observation and gives the listener the foundational dynamic of the home.
You know the source of comfort, and you know the source of structure.
Right.
And here's the really deep insight. The speaker is actually defining themselves by how they describe the authority figures in their life.
Oh, that's interesting.
By highlighting kindness and strictness, they're revealing which values, nurture and discipline, are the defining forces in their life.
Yeah.
This is so critical for rapport. If you, the listener, have a kind mother, boom, common ground. If you have a strict father, you find empathy.
It's a guaranteed conversational opening.
Absolutely.
I do wonder, though, for small talk, is it a bit of a risk to label one parent strict? Doesn't that introduce a potentially negative feeling right at the start?
You know, it's a calculated risk, but I think it's a strategically smart one. Neutral terms are just forgettable. This descriptive pair is memorable because of the contrast. And strict, when you put it next to kind, suggests balance, maybe high standards.
Yeah.
Not necessarily negativity. It just defines the boundaries.
And I guess the fact that the speaker is comfortable sharing this means they're offering a level of immediate, genuine disclosure.
Which builds trust.
Yeah.
That's a great point. It's an unconscious self-portrait.
Mm.
The text even touches on the physical context, which is another crucial piece, with the detail. I look like my mother.
Simple, concise.
Provides lineage.
Mm-hmm.
But the masterstroke of this whole section, for me, is how the source material decides to wrap all that complexity up.
How does it do that?
It closes the family segment with one sentence. We get along very well.
Ah, okay. That's the ultimate structural reassurance.
It is.
It tells you, look, despite any differences, despite the strict rules, the core connectivity, the harmony, it's strong. It summarizes all that nuance in a single, powerful statement.
It confirms that all those contrasting adjectives function not as conflict, but as a healthy dynamic.
Yeah.
That is the efficiency of good communication, just distilled.
So we've established the physical container and the emotional content. Now let's ground this deep dive in the practical reality of the home.
The day-to-day.
Section 3, the rhythms of life. Housework, routine, responsibility. Why is knowing who cleans the oven as important as knowing who's strict?
This is the section that often gets overlooked in just superficial chat, but it's vital for a true understanding. Personality is abstract, right?
Right.
But routine is the ultimate concrete indicator of how someone organizes their life, how they handle responsibility. And the text frames this perfectly. It anticipates the question, who does the cooking?
And discussing chores, it immediately reveals the internal structure, the division of labor. It tells you about the implied expectations in the family.
Exactly. You start to get an insight into who runs the household and what the expectation of independence is for the speaker. If the speaker does 0 chores, that says one thing. If they're responsible for major tasks, that implies something else entirely. We're using mundane details to figure out larger roles.
And the source gives us 2 very specific details that define this structure. First, there's the personal responsibility, including the frequency. I have to clean my room every Saturday.
And that phrase does so much more than just state a chore.
How so?
It highlights ownership. Cleaning my room implies a personal domain, personal accountability, and the every Saturday part is crucial.
It establishes consistency, a fixed point.
A fixed point in the weekly routine. It tells you the speaker follows a schedule and they honor personal boundaries.
Okay, and then the second detail gives us the shared external burden, the chore that often gets delegated. My brother takes out the trash.
That is the perfect counterpoint. Taking out the trash, it's a chore that benefits the entire group. It's often unpleasant, and it has to be done on time.
Right.
So when a family member is assigned that specific chore, it speaks to their functional role in the household ecosystem.
The one who handles the recurring external necessity.
Exactly. By sharing these specific tasks, you're illustrating a collaborative working environment. It grounds the abstract personalities we talked about earlier.
So the kind mother and the strict father preside over this home where one sibling is responsible for consistency and personal space.
And the other one is responsible for the shared necessity.
It gives the listener this comprehensive, almost sociological snapshot of the home.
And that's why this is so important for you, the listener. If you are aiming for that well-informed shortcut, you need these domestic routines. Understanding who is practically reliable, who is scheduled, it goes far beyond just knowing if someone is kind. It defines their daily reality.
So what does this all mean? We've seen how this essential art of personal description is built on really strategically deployed simple language.
Mm.
We analyzed how words like cozy, spacious, kind, and strict function as these incredibly efficient shortcuts. They move the listener from architecture to feeling and from abstract roles to genuine personal stories.
The whole strategy is about efficiency and memorability. By using these foundational categories, home, family, routine, you provide the bedrock for personal introductions, for a sustained conversation.
You master the ability to move from objective facts to subjective intimacy.
And you ensure that the person you're talking to leaves the conversation truly knowing the feeling of your life, not just the bullet points.
It's the ultimate informed shortcut to a genuine connection.
And as we close this deep dive, we want to leave you with one final thought. Something to mull over that builds on this idea. We focused a lot on the descriptive words from the source material. Cozy, strict, kind.
Right?
So now, consider your own current approach to learning, to seeking knowledge. If you could only choose one simple adjective, just one descriptive word, to define that approach right now, what would it be? And, more importantly, what does that choice reveal about how you tackle new information and integrate it into your life?
Think about that descriptive power and how it applies to your own pursuit of knowledge. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.